All right, let's do some LeetCode problems. So we're starting with this one. So we have two strings called word1 and word2. We want to merge them together just in alternating order, starting with word1. And then if one string is longer than the other, just add all the letters to the end. So this is pretty straightforward. Just thinking about this, there's sort of like, we can think about this in two phases. There's the initial phase of like sort of the weaving the words together when there are letters in both words remaining, and then there's the adding the bit at the end. So you can do those one at a time. I'm going to do something that seems a little silly here for a coding problem. I'm going to write out the code, and this is just because I like writing, and I've seen some evidence or heard of papers that suggest that writing is really good for learning. And so for that reason, and it also gives me more time to explain everything. So I'm going to write it out and then we'll type it. Okay. So for the weaving them together at the start, we first want to figure out like how many indices we need to do that weaving for, and that's going to be equal to like whichever word is shorter. So we're going to let n be that length. It's going to be the minimum of the length. By the way, I'm doing this all in Python. The length of word 1 and the length of word 2. All right, and so then we are going to sort of iteratively add on to the output string. So we're just going to call it res for result, and we'll just make it blank. And so we're going to loop through, or going to run through indices from 0 all the way up to the length of the shorter word. And for here, what we're going to do is, as the instructions say, we want to add the letter from word 1 and then the letter from word 2. And we could actually just do this all in one line, because we're taking the result and we're adding the ith letter in word 1, and then we're adding the ith letter in word 2. And so we take care of that right away. Okay, so that's the weaving part, and then we need to add the stuff at the end. So one of the two words is going to be longer. So if it happens to be the case that word 1 is longer than word 2, then we just need to add everything to the end. So we need to take, so in this case, n is equal to the length of word 2. And so when looping for all I in range n, we've already gone up to the length of word 2. And so word 2 has been exhausted. Everything in word 2 is now in res. And so we just need to add the stuff from word 1. And specifically, so what index do we need to start at? So range n, it's the whole like programming off by 1 issue. So range n goes up to index n minus 1. And so here, for the things that we add on, we need to start at n rather than like n plus 1. And then we just go to, we just get all the indices in word 1 that are beyond index n. Okay, so there's this. Otherwise, so if word 2 is longer, then what we want to do is the same thing, but we just add everything at the end of word 2. Now this also takes care of the scenario where word 1 and word 2 are the same length, because basically in that case, then up at this earlier step, the result has already been formed, and so there's nothing else that we need to do. And so when you run this code, in the case where the lengths are equal, then word 2, the nth, then this thing is going to just return nothing, because word 2 only goes up to index. If the length of word 2 is n, then it only goes up to index n minus 1. And so this will not add anything else to the result, and so the result will stay correct. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do is return the result. All right, so that's what the code is going to look like. And so let's actually go here and type it out. So we've got the min of length word 1, length word 2. And then we're going to start the result as being blank. Going to go indices from 0 to n minus 1 and take the result. We're going to add word 1, word 2, I. And then for the final part, if length word 1 is greater than length word 2, then we need to add everything else at the end of word 1. Otherwise, we need to add everything else at the end of word 2, which might be blank if they're equal. And we return the result. All right, and just run this. And it's fine. So we go ahead and submit. And yeah, there we go. It's a perfectly good result. So for these, I do try to look at the solutions to try to find what I think is like the nicest, cleanest solution. And so just in looking, this one I found. So I just want to give a little bit credit of where I get some of these solutions. But yeah, this is sort of like a straightforward first programming problem. And so this is the result.